and we have around like 8 days away until the last day of Ramadan. So buckle up, and let's hope we get to the end of Ramadan safe and sound. Not just for me, but for um, fasting in Ramadan and also for anyone, everyone, all across the globe. So in this live stream, I'm going to talk about the recent episode of NXT. It was really really fun. NXT has been really really good for the past year or so. Chapters, and then let's get into the show. This show started and then by Jilly that night during breaking against Carmelo Hayes. So I mean, it makes sense for Dragon Lee and Jilly McDonough to be in this match. Lost in the match against Johnny Gargano. Well, the reason is in the record books. Fans could count the match where Chris Waller lost in the match, but it will not be acknowledged in the record match. And then let's get into what happened next. So the storyline between James and Van Hanley is getting really, really interesting. They got their title rematch against Alba Fire and Isle Dawn. Throughout, towards the end of the match, Brooks Jensen arrived, and then he taught Fallon Henley to hit um, Alba Fire with the with Kara James backpack, and I was like, oh, this is getting interesting because Fallon Henley did not want to hit her opponent. She did not want to took the easy way out, and then Josh Briggs was like, dude, what the heck are you doing? And then Brooks Jensen pushed him away. And then, of course, Alba Fire and Aladon retained their title, even though it looks like in the end, Alba hit her head really, really hard while she was delivering the Swanton bomb. I hope she's doing fine because she was kind of like, um, she was, she was like kind of not there in the end. And then Brooks Jensen carried Kenna James outside of the arena. So it might lead to a heel turn for Brooks Jensen, even though it's a sad story because Jensen never knew that he was actually get cheated on by Kiana James, and he's going to turn his back on his friends, which is Josh Briggs and Fawn Henley. I mean, if it becomes if it becomes a storyline between Josh Briggs and Fawn Henley against Kiana James and Brooks Jensen, I'm all for it. That would be really, really interesting, but I'm more concerned about the outcome of that story because if it's a way to break up this trio, then I don't see Josh Briggs and Fallon Henley to be together if that's the direction they're going. If they're going to break up the team, I think they're going to do their own thing after that. But the problem is, putting Josh Brooks and Brooks Jensen in a tag team was the saving grace for their career at the very start of NXT 2.0. So breaking them up, I don't think it would be a great decision, but we'll see it later. So yeah, and then Noam Dar, like what we saw last week, he made his NXT debut return, whatever you want to call it, and he stated that he is bringing the NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship with him. But they're actually changing the name from NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship to just NXT Heritage Cup Championship. They took off the logo for NXT UK and changed the logo of NXT, and then yeah, they essentially changing it so it does not have the NXT UK brand anymore on the championship. And I think it would be really interesting to bring this match stipulation to the United States audience because it was really uh, it was really well. Um, what's the English word for it? It was really well taken by the NXT UK audience, by the UK audience. It was really well received. There you go. It was really well received by the NXT UK audience. So I'm kind of curious if the United States audience would give a crap to this stipulation. It was actually really fun. I was watching NXT UK, and these matches have been really, really fun, especially when it involves people like Tyler Bate and A Kid during the matches. So, Noam Dar bringing this title into the main NXT would be absolutely incredible. But the problem is that right now NXT has so many titles. You have currently it means that you have two mid card titles in NXT with the North American title and then the NXT Heritage Cup title. So I think here's the thing. The Heritage Cup title will stay in NXT for a while until the launch of NXT Europe, whenever that is this year. I hope it will get launched pretty soon because we have not heard or seen any more news regarding the launch of NXT Europe. So I'm hoping that we will get some sort of news anytime soon because right now NXT is bloated with its as soon as possible so we could push some of the competitors in main NXT and then put them in this new brand to elevate this new um, to elevate NXT Europe like what they did with NXT UK back in the day, and then put the NXT Heritage Cup title to NXT Europe. That's my that's my suggestion. And then Duke Hudson get his MVP trophy from um, Andre Chase, and then Brom Breakker interrupt the segment by saying that he does not want to fight for the NXT title anymore because he thinks it's a curse. Some people were confused, but I'm not confused with this because I kind of see his point. Every single time he was holding the title, people were booing him day in and day out on weekly basis. No matter what he did, people would hate him because he was one of the longest reigning NXT champions, and people were longing for Carmelo Hayes to take the title away from him. And the fact that people cheer when Carmelo cheated to win the title, I think that's why he called it a curse. He won it from Tommaso Ciampa in just like 4 months into his NXT career, if I remember correctly. And then he has been the top guy almost for more than 1 year, right? For like yeah, almost 2 years probably, which was insane. And then Bromwich was like he was letting Duke Hudson to take his spot in the Fatal 4-Way match, and Duke essentially take that spot. But then Bron Breakker hit a spear onto Andre Chase, but instead of helping Andre Chase, Duke Hudson took the trophy and ran away like a little coward. So this feels like they are hinting at a heel turn by Duke Hudson towards the Chase University. The problem is, if it ever happens, what would happen with Chase U? It would not work with only Andre Chase and Thea Hale in the group. They would definitely need a replacement for that. Duke Hudson was a replacement of Bodie Hayward who got released. So I'm not sure if I like where this is going. It might be interesting, it might be entertaining, but we'll see where this is going. So Eddie Thorpe had a match with Javier Bernal, and then Damon Kemp was scouting really close for Eddie Thorpe. Maybe he's going to be rivalry in NXT. Still, as much as people praise Eddie Thorpe back in New Japan when he was still Carl Fredericks, I still cannot get behind this guy. Something about his looks is weird. Something about his moveset does not click. And especially his finisher. Last time we saw him in his NXT debut, his finisher was a swinging neckbreaker, and now it's the same finisher that um, Angelo Dawkins used in the main roster, the double underhook spinning neckbreaker. It was cool, but I think Eddie Thorpe needs a new finisher. With his look, I think a roundhouse kick or a Shining Wizard would be a really great finishing move. Or a scissor kick. Scissor kick would definitely looks deadly, but the fact that Carmelo Hayes has already used the scissor kick as his finishing move, so I think Eddie Thorpe needs another finisher. If I would suggest, maybe a knee strike. A knee strike would looks really good. Maybe a Rough Rider, like a Famouser, or huh, or maybe Tio Man's finishing move. If you know Tio Man from NXT UK, he used to have this finishing move where he's running towards his opponent who was down when they're trying to get up. He hits him with this part of his forearm, like bam. And I think that would be a great finisher for Eddie Thorpe because I currently don't like any of his movesets, and definitely I don't like his finisher. So I think that would be a great finishing move for Eddie Thorpe if he's making more appearances on NXT brand. Um, so Joe Coffey issues a challenge backstage against Stank Ledger, who was supposed to make his NXT debut a couple of weeks from now, and then the Schism surprisingly made their appearance. Griff Fowler and Jagger Reed states that they are going for those NXT Tag Team titles. So the dirt, so a couple of like last week, the dirt sheet reported that Jagger Reed and Griff Fowler um, asked for their release, and then they actually got their release granted. And it surprised me that they are actually still in the company, which means that the dirt sheet was hella wrong. They did not get released. They are still with the company, and they are getting an NXT title shot, NXT Tag Team title shot. And that segment was not taped because they actually made another appearance later on that night. So yeah, next match was a match between Tiffany Stratton and Sol Ruka. It was an acrobatic match, that's for sure, with Tiffany Stratton getting the win. Then Cora Jade has a promo that was pretty long, and then blah 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 blah. She talks about all the competitors in the leather match, and then she's going to continue her rivalry with Lara Valkyria since that's supposed to happen a couple of months ago, but she got injured. So Von Wagner, Yvonne loses, Robert Stone, and that's exactly what happened. Robert Stone left Von Wagner because he could not get a win against Ilya Dragunov, and nobody has gotten behind Von Wagner ever since he turned heel against Kyle O'Reilly last year. No, not last year, in 2021. That's really long. Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. Wow. I'm pretty sure it was back in 2021 after NXT War Games. That was a long time ago. That's when he turned heel. That was insane. So after that match, Ilya Dragunov was confronted by Dijak, and it looks like we're going to have a rivalry between these two, and it's going to be epic. So after that, we got a match between Joe Coffey and Tank Ledger. I mean, it was an alright debut by Tank Ledger. I'm not a fan with his ring gear because it looks weird. But okay, the match was fine for a debut match. And Joe Coffey won the match by delivering two discus clothesline, and then the Creed brothers came out because they wanted a tag team match against Gallus. They confronted them. They confronted Gallus, and then Scripps arrived from behind, started attacking both teams, and then we got a segment backstage between the D'Angelo family and Roxanne Perez, saying that they if she needs any help, they could just contact them. And then Zoe Starks came around, and then Roxanne was like, you know what, let's have a match next week, and then she agrees. And then Pretty Deadly attacked the D'Angelo family because there was a footage on Twitter by NXT Anonymous showing that the D'Angelo family attacked Pretty Deadly and then put Elton Prince or Kit Wilson, it's one of those two, into their trunk of the car, and then they drove away. And this is basically them giving their payback. So I'm interested to see the D'Angelo family as a babyface team, and they are having a rivalry against Pretty Deadly. So that would be interesting. So now the main event, the fatal four-way match between Dragon Lee, um, Jaylee McDonough, Duke Hudson, and also Grayson Waller. It was a really great fatal four-way match with the ending. Um, Dragon Lee delivers a power bomb to Duke Hudson, and then Grayson Waller hit Dragon Lee with his stunner. Grayson Waller pinned Duke Hudson to get the win. So he will be the next challenger for Carmelo Hayes at Spring Breaking, not Braun Breaker, which was pretty surprising. So Spring Breaking is going to happen next week, and then we're probably going to get another opponent for May 26th. Is it 26 or 28? May 28th at NXT Battleground. If the draft is not happening until May 28th, then maybe Braun Breaker is going to face Carmelo Hayes, but maybe not. But I think after this match against Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller is going to get put in the draft because, as you know, WWE is going to do a draft this year, and it also includes people from NXT as well. So there will be some people who are going to get included in the draft, and I would like to see Grayson Waller to get called up into the main roster and probably continue his rivalry with Johnny Gargano. At least it would give Johnny Gargano something in the main roster instead of just losing on weekly basis, you know. So there you have it. That's my review and my recap on this week's NXT, and we'll see what would happen next week on Spring Breaking, and we'll see what would happen in 2 days for SmackDown. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I'm losing my voice and I bite the inside of my mouth when we are doing iftar, when we break our fast. So it kind of still hurts right now, and that's why maybe I stumbled my words a couple of times. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. My name is Devaja, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Signing out.